You're listening to Media Savvy Moms with Melody and Marilyn, a podcast by Parents Aware, your go-to for information on how to talk to kids and teens about pornography and healthy sexuality.
Hello and welcome back to the Media Savvy Moms podcast. Today we are going to discuss why it is that parents often don't seek help either in their community or among peers when they have a child or teen that is struggling to overcome pornography, and why it is that we do encourage parents to seek that kind of help. And you will notice that I am not here with my co-host Melody, but rather we've dug into our archive shows, some old video podcasts that I had done a couple of years ago for Parents Aware before the Media Savvy Moms podcast even existed. And this particular show I thought was really important. My sister and I were talking together. I recorded this. Now, she lived in British Columbia at the time, and we didn't get to see each other very often. But what we discovered, and you'll hear in the show, is that we shared a similar concern over children and the use of pornography. Bear with us on the sound on this one because it was just getting started and it's very organic, and we're out in a conservation area talking. You'll hear leaves crunching under our feet. You'll hear a hum of traffic in the background. It's quite charming. And then the odd time you will hear a flight school passing over top of us, and that's where it gets a little awkward. But I hope you will enjoy this fun retro show because we've got a lot to offer in it. In fact, we open up and we get quite vulnerable with our personal stories, but we do that because we know how important it is for us as parents to overcome this culture of shame and misunderstanding that surrounds the use of pornography and why children are so drawn into this habit. And we talk about why we have to overcome this shame so that our kids can thrive and really we can seek the help we need, but also that we can lift a burden from our kids and that they're more apt to find the healing and the recovery that they are searching for as well. So listen in and be patient with the sound, but I trust you will agree that it is worth the listen. And on today's podcast, I'm going to be joined by my sister Val. We're going to walk and we're going to talk. As we talk, we're going to find out why parents have such a difficult time talking to other parents about pornography. So Val, you're in town from BC, and I just want to let everyone know how many kids you have.
So I have 8 children. They range from the youngest is almost 14 and the oldest is 29, and she's a mom with 3 kids, and I have almost 2 other grandchildren. So that's my family.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wanted to just mention that in both our families, we really have 2 generations of kids. You had 8 kids, and so obviously they've been spread out over many years, and I have 5 children myself, and I did choose to spread them out over several years. And because of that, we have older kids, and those kids, pornography became part of their lives without our knowledge.
Sure. The internet wasn't invented before, it was post me having those older children.
That's right.
And so it was, I think for our whole society, but definitely me and my family, a sucker punch. We didn't see it coming, and the impact it would have on our good family.
It's not as if we weren't aware of pornography and the damaging effects that pornography was having on society, because
our mom was president of CASE, like all our formative years and beyond. She was president and worked hard in anti-pornography group, and so it wasn't going to happen to us.
It just seemed like it was something that was out there in the world, but we really had no concept that it could attack us in our own homes.
Right. Yeah.
So describe to me and others listening what it was like once you realized that first time that it really had attacked you at home?
Well, actually, the first time that I recognized it was when our oldest son was about 12 years old, and that was really hard, but I thought it was an aberration. I thought it was just, this is just, now we take away computer privileges, we have the talk, and we're good. And so that's what I thought, naively. And that was fine for most of our kids, but one, unfortunately, was really lured in, and we struggled with it over the years, and as I realized that this is a problem, I was physically ill, emotionally drained, didn't know what to do, didn't talk to anybody except my husband, and thought it was our problem. And then 4 years after that, I realized that the first time, so age 16 approximately, I was given a book by a dear friend, and it was just a series of articles, and I opened the book to it, and it was addressing pornography, and don't think you can solve this one on your own. Get professional help.
So your friend, she didn't know that you had this struggle in your family?
No. As I said, it was just a series of talks addressed to women, and I haven't read all the talks, but I read that one and articles, and that one just was what I needed. And then I got on the phone that day, set up counseling for my son, and then I talked to my friend about it, and that was really the first time I had really talked about what.
So 4 years when your son struggled with this compulsion, addiction, whatever you want to call it, to use pornography, but 4 years where you also felt like you had no one to talk to.
No, it was, and no one to attack. Like, it's this faceless demon inside, on the other side of the computer, the devices.
Exactly. There's nobody to go and beat up and say, don't do this to my kid, you leave him alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you feel very vulnerable and alone as a parent, and as a parent who wants always to protect their children.
Okay. So we really had a similar, I'd say identical experience in our family, and how I felt when our child came to us, or I guess the first time we discovered the images, and it felt so overwhelming. And like you, at first I thought, okay, let's just get rid of the problem. Let's get it out of the house. Well, not out of the house. Let's unplug. Let's lock it down, and it's going to be fine. It's going to go away.
Yeah.
And then the second time the child came to us and said, I'm having this problem.
That's awesome.
It is awesome. But how I felt was not awesome.
No.
I felt horrible.
Yeah.
And I felt like I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And we talked about it, but the problem kept coming back.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized I can't do this by myself. I didn't get a book from a friend that said, go find help, but I just needed to talk to somebody. So why is it that you think parents are so resistant to talk to other parents?
Well, it's kind of what I was saying. It's the shame culture we live in, and parents are so afraid of being accused, being labeled as a bad parent, and allowing their children to be harmed. And a little story that goes with that is Holly, our youngest, and a neighbor friend, when they were 2 or 3 years old, thought they could get back to Avery's old house. I don't know if they forgot, they moved, but anyway, they were off on their little adventure, got out of the house, and I'm looking all over for them. Finally, I went to the walk, and this man had them at this intersection, just a normal neighborhood intersection, not busy, and he just was so angry with me that I had let my children out, and I was, they're safe. Yeah. Thank you for not being a weirdo. Thank you. Don't make me feel bad. Stuff happens.
You felt bad enough.
I did.
You were worried enough.
Yeah.
You didn't need
and
someone
so
to
you
make
don't
you
need
feel
people.
worse.
And I think that's the same feeling that we get. Somebody's going to think we're not doing a good job if we talk about the failings, the stuff our kids are really, stuff like pornography. Everyone knows pornography is creepy, bad. It's in the shadows, and so we don't want our children going there. We don't want admitting that our children have gone there.
Exactly.
And
didn't you mention you had a friend who tried to bring it up?
yeah, she was at a book club, and the topic of the book club was something, that led somehow to this discussion, and she brought it up that her kids were struggling. Here you got a room full of women, and how are we going to talk about this? And they made her feel like there was something wrong with her children. That they're in their Christian homes, it's all not here.
Yeah.
And so denial, possibly, maybe their children were smaller and hadn't dealt with it yet, and I think that's probably a big part of it. They'll learn.
It's a common misunderstanding. If you haven't experienced it yourself, you just automatically think, well, there's something wrong with that family. There's something wrong with that child.
Yeah.
But it's never, ever the child's fault.
No, it's not.
It's not. They are a victim of the society that they're living in.
Yeah. I think we're on our own. Yeah.
And I didn't get it. I was like, what makes my kids have this problem?
Yeah.
And I talked to my husband. I said, Stephen, why is it just us? What did we do wrong? Why is it our kids that are struggling? And he's like, oh, Marilyn, you have no idea.
Yeah.
If your kids are seeing pornography, everybody's kids are seeing pornography.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
And that's when I realized that I probably wasn't alone, and we just were not comfortable talking about it with each other.
Yeah.
I'd bring it up in very, very discreet, safe
Make
ways.
a comment about something
In general.
not personal. But
No. But I could never tell anybody.
yeah.
Yeah, that pot was simmering on my stove.
Yeah.
I was ready to boil over, and I was like, okay, don't talk to my sister about really, really important things all the time. Like, we'll call each other all the time, but I just had to talk to you. And it was hard. Do you remember the day I called?
Oh, sure. I'm pretty sure I was driving to work because the time changed and everything, and it was good. And then I was able to say, yeah, I'm a few years ahead of you. We've been struggling for years. That's our life too. And you know what? I just thought of this now, that because we had that difficult conversation, we have more conversations.
Yeah.
It opened to other things that we didn't talk about in our families, and now we talk about it.
It's true.
And so I think when you allow yourself, and so I would say to all parents, talk about it. Guys are probably even worse at talking about it, but I'm encouraged as I hear other young moms that are just starting, that they are having the conversation a little more. So that's good, but if you're not, just
don't be afraid of
it.
Do not be afraid of it.
If it is like my friend who came away from that book club feeling like, ooh, that didn't go so well, do it again.
Find the person that's going to be compassionate. I did not know that you had gone through this.
Yeah.
But I was pretty confident you weren't going to judge me harshly.
Right.
Yeah. I knew you well enough that wasn't going to happen. And I was right. And oh my goodness, if we had only known each other's heartache earlier.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's why I'm so determined now to share this with other people, because if I could do one thing to help somebody else, we waited how long to get help for our kids? We waited too long. It doesn't matter how long.
Well, yeah, and on that, getting help also, get help for yourself. Be involved in the help. That's my one big regret. I wasn't involved, and that was part of the privacy thing. And I should have, if it needed to be separate, I should have been getting help on how to help, because it was so new then too.
Yeah.
We now have our son is he's doing great. He's works for a nonprofit called Fight the New Drug, and he's doing online counseling, helping others. It's kind of like you kind of get obsessive with these things once you realize that I can do this and I want to empower others. And that's the big thing.
I'm glad you mentioned, because our kids are doing really well.
Yeah.
And this is when it first hits you, you don't know how you're going to get out of it, but you can get out of it.
Yeah.
And the kids can recover. And about talking about it, whenever I get a chance to talk to young people, I always say, talk to your parents. Now, it's always a scary thing for me to say that to them, because I'm not sure if their parents are going to react well. But the more we talk as parents to each other, the more prepared we're going to be to help our kids.
And as parents, we can go online and look at sites like Fight the New Drug and see all the studies of the brain and what it really is.
ParentsAware.info.
Or Parents Aware, absolutely. There's so many out there, and it's there's so many resources now that we didn't have.
I love Fight the New Drug. They were my first resource, so I love them.
And they're great, and I love your articles, and we will just keep talking.
Okay, I've got 2 final questions, and these are super short. So what has opening up to other parents done for your well-being? Maybe we've covered this, but just...
Well, I to say it strongly is empowerment, and look how empowered you are from talking. Like we feel confident. I bring it up at work. We're talking about mental health. Hey, let's do the online addictions and pornography piece. If we're talking about mental health, this is the big one of this generation. So I feel empowered.
Okay, and the second question is, how has talking with other parents benefited your own children?
Well, that we've talked about a little bit, but that they know I'm no longer so afraid and physically ill. I'm okay, let's deal with this. And so then they don't feel the shame. They feel that they have me on their side to help them
when
through
they know their parents are comfortable with this subject, they're going to be more comfortable talking to their parents.
And our younger ones, they wear their t-shirts to school that are from Fight the New Drug, all their tees, and it's porn kills love, love can't be clicked, head full of lies, and their peers have good discussions with them. Teachers, we got to work on.
Okay.
They're told not to wear those to school, but that we can work on.
Well, this has been amazing today.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the walk and for the talk. And please, if you've liked this video, please click like.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you like what you heard, remember to subscribe. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram, or email us directly at mediasavvymoms@gmail.com. We'd love to get your feedback.